Data validation is a great feature that allows you to restrict user input in a cell or a range of cells. And this is very important to minimize mistakes, especially when many people are working on the same sheet. In this video, I'm going to show you how to apply data validation to a cell or a range of cells, how to edit and manage input messages and error alerts. We will dive in step by step and in detail on multiple validation conditions and options, including drop-down lists and formula-based custom validation. In the last part, the best practice tips on how to manage, edit, as well as remove data validation. So within the sheet, I have these gray cells where I want to enter data, and with a few clicks, I will limit and validate data entry based on these criteria. To apply data validation, select the cell or cells you want, go to the Data tab, Data Tools, and then click on the Data Validation button. In the Setting tab, you can set the validation criteria. I will choose the Date option. Excel shows you more validation criteria to choose from. Here we have typical logical criteria, for example, allow date between two given dates, or less than or greater than this date, etc., etc. So for this example, I will choose the between criteria. And my data should be between the beginning of this year and the end of it. Now I'll click OK and test that validation. To find cells with data validation, press F5, find Special and choose the Data Validation option. Otherwise, on the left of the Home tab, click on the Find and Select command, choose Special and the Validation option. Color code the cells with validation to identify them as such. Now before I go into the detail of the validation criteria and options available, I will show you how to manage input messages and error alerts. Let's go again to the data validation window. Instead of the Setting tab, we are going to switch to the Input Message tab. This feature allows us to show an input message whenever a cell is selected, and this is very helpful to prevent mistakes before they happen. Enter any title you want. In the input message box, enter date within the year 2021. Press OK. Now, when an Excel user go over the cell, the input message will be shown, and this helps prevent mistakes before they happen. Not only that, this feature can be used in various other scenarios than data validation. You can leave, for example, yourself and other users comments, hints, guidelines, and so on. Think of all the possibilities you have. Stop the video, make some notes on Excel spreadsheets and templates you constantly work with, and where this feature helps you one way or the other. The other feature with data validation is the error alert feature. This alert appears after the user have entered invalid data. Again, switch tab to the data validation window and to the last one. Here we have three options: the stop message, the warning message, and the information message. I will explain and show you the difference between them. The stop alert forces the user to follow the validation rule. For every false entry he or she gives, Excel will force a repeat entry. On the other hand, the warning and information alert allows the user to break the rules. In some cases, this can be very helpful. I will put for these three cells the number validation above 1000, but for each one a different error alert style. In the first one, I will apply a stop alert. Enter in the error message, stop, the number must be above 1000 or any other message you want. I will quickly change the cell's validation to warning. Just select and go to the data validation. There you can edit the rule, change the alert style and input text. Now let's test this. If I insert this number here, the warning alert will appear, but I still can break the rule. It is only a warning after all. If I insert this number here, the information alert will appear. Just like before, with the warning alert, you can break the rules. It is very easy to lose the overview of cells containing validation, the rules, and so on. Keep a helper column that contains explanation of the validation criteria. You can hide the column. Move it to the end of the sheet where it does not disturb. Use Ctrl plus the left and right arrows to navigate to the end of the sheet and back to the data. In this part, we are going to validate text, dates, drop-down lists, and the possibilities of custom validation. Let's start with the drop-down list. Whenever you choose a list, you have three options. You can type in the list that will appear as a drop-down list. You can select an existing list or simply name the list and enter its name. I will start by typing in the list. This is okay if you have limited options like yes and no or 2 till 3 different names. Enter a semicolon in between, a comma if you are using the US English version of Excel. Click on OK and let's test this. The second method is to select the list. The list can be on the same sheet or in a different one. The third one is to name the list. Select your list and type in a name in the name box. Go to Data Validation, press the F3 keyboard shortcut. This will open the name dialog box. Select the name you chose for the list. Now before we continue, whenever you are using a drop-down list, it is Smart Tool. Sort the list alphabetically. This will help you find the data faster when the list is long. Create a list in form of a table. This way it will be dynamic and update automatically whenever you enter new data. Protect the list in some way. You can hide it somewhere in the workbook or password protect. If you would like to know about the protection methods in Excel, check my video in the description below. With the built-in criteria, we have the possibility to limit text length. Go to Conditional Formatting, choose Allow Text Length that is less than 6 characters. Press OK, and now let's test this. Enter A, B, C, D, E, F in the cell. Excel will complain. The text length is longer than what the validation rules allows. Remove the F. Now we have less than 6 characters and press Enter. The entry will be accepted. It complies with the validation rule. Refer to cells instead of typing in the validation criteria in the validation window. Refer to a cell containing the criteria argument. This way, you can apply the changes to the cell in the sheet, and the validation criteria will be updated accordingly. This is even possible with custom criteria. Again, you can hide the cells, move them within the sheet, or to another sheet if it suits your purpose. The Excel built-in validation criteria will cover most of the validation cases that you have. If not, you can use functions and formulas to customize your own validation rules. Here it gets interesting. Let's use, for example, the AND function. This means if all criteria in the AND function are met, the result would be true and allowed entry. Otherwise false and denied entry. The two simple criteria for the AND function are: the preparation date must be a weekday and it must be bigger than the inquiry date. I recommend writing and testing the function in the Excel sheet, afterward copying it in the validation window. For the first criteria, weekday, we will use the weekday function. This function returns the number of the day in the week. Enter equal week D, press tab to choose the formula. For the first argument, enter the preparation date cell. For the second argument, enter 2. 2 means Excel will consider Monday as 1 and Sunday as 7. So if the result is between 1 and 5, we have a weekday. If it is 6 and 7, we have a weekend. So let's test this now inside the cell. To edit any validated cell, select the cell or the range of cells, go to Data, Data Tools, Data Validation. Make the necessary adjustments and click OK. To delete validations, you can select the sheet, go to the Data Validation and clear all the rules. Deleting the whole cell is also a possibility you have.